Hi everybody, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, this is a hard story. It is a tragic story. It is something that people do all the time, and especially before going on a cruise. You will, if you're visiting an area and stuff like that, you often do some of the little excursions and everything that are around the cruise port that you're sailing out of, and don't think anything of it until something like this happens. It's absolutely tragic and it's under investigation. People have died, and yeah, wait till you see this whole story. So this whole story unfolds in Clearwater, Florida, and it's about 30 minutes drive to the cruise port in Tampa, where a lot of people will stay in Clearwater when they're traveling on a cruise in Tampa. They'll make like a land cruise, vacation out of it. Spend 3 or 4 days in Clearwater, especially Clearwater because it's facing the ocean side of the water. It's not in the bay of Tampa. It's actually out, facing into the ocean. So this happened on the Clearwater Ferry, which runs a route from Clearwater up along the Intercoastal Highway up into Clearwater Beach. And it also is an area where people go to the aquarium and visit the areas there. It's a very popular tourist destination. And instead of trying to rent a car or get across on buses, they take the ferry across. And the ferry runs roughly every half hour. There's a route back and forth, and it is a fixture in Clearwater Beach. Well, this happened around 8:30 in the evening. And what happened is the ferry was returning. It had 44 people on board, including the crew and people returning from Clearwater Beach. It was, there were children on board. There were a bunch of families on board when another pleasure vehicle came roaring up behind it and crashed over top of the ferry as it was traveling. The ferry was traveling much slower than the approaching boat. It approached from behind. There were 6 other people on that pleasure craft, and it was run and operated by a gentleman named Jeffrey Knight. He's been found out, and they are investigating the boat. They've seized his boat as well as the crashed ferry for investigation. But it came up really, really fast. And here, I'll show you a footage of it right here. And you can see just how, if you're just sailing along with, on the ferry and you're facing forward, you would not even know this thing is coming until the last minute. Even if you're sitting at the back of the boat, you would hear your engine more than you would hear that boat's engine coming behind you. The only thing that might, warn you is a bright light coming towards you. Now, the ferry boat had a light on it. You can see the light clearly in the water. And there was no indication that the pleasure craft tried to swerve in the least. Now, unfortunately, after the crash, we had 1 person passed away. We had 12 had to be rushed to hospital. 2 of them had to be airlifted to hospital because of the severity of their injuries. And the Clearwater Police Department and Coast Guard have labeled this, a major event because of how many people and the substantiality of the injuries that were involved. And apparently, the boat that crashed was seen leaving the scene. The one that ran into the ferry was seen leaving to the scene. Now, it looks like they went to a neighboring dock where, you're supposed to render aid in a boat accident. It's a written rule. It's an unwritten rule. It's common courtesy. It's, to try and help people, especially people who ended up in the water. Fire and Rescue and Coast Guard and other vessels in the area all came out and got people out of the water, including the children, etc. But the crashed vessel ended up on shore at the dock. Now, apparently the person hung around and then left. What's unclear is the police did say that they did take a breathalyzer test, and the person did not appear to be inebriated. But it doesn't indicate how long after the incident that they took the breathalyzer test. If did they take it while he was still on the dock, or did they take it after he had left and gone home? So there's lots of things there. Of course, they're not saying very much right now. The person is well known in the area. He's a businessman. Apparently, he owns a couple restaurants from the destination and everything. And he has been charged before with impaired driving, apparently, on 3 different accounts, and was pleaded no contest all 3 times. Again, there's no indication that he was drinking on the vessel, but he was also involved in an incident where somebody went overboard on his boat and drowned. I don't know. I don't think I'd ever want to be on a vessel with this guy, ever. But he had 5 other people on that boat with him. Now, some of the people have now been released from hospital. Some of the injuries are still heavy and they're still in hospital. So I'm following this pretty closely. But I bring this story up because a lot of people do these things. If you're in Fort Lauderdale, they have the Fort Lauderdale ferry that you can go back and forth and visit, and you don't have to try and go through the roads or walk. Very convenient, but you never know when things can happen. Now, one of the things a lot of people do when they're booking their cruises and everything is they book their insurance for the cruise, but only for the cruise. They forget about, we're going to spend 4 days in Clearwater, Florida before our cruise or after our cruise, or we're going to fly down to Disney. We're in Orlando. Let's go 4 days to Disney and Universal Studios and then go home. Well, your cruise insurance doesn't cover that. You have to make sure the insurance you're using covers your whole vacation, especially if you're traveling to a foreign country. If you're in the United States and you have your own health care and everything, that's a different story. If you're a Canadian citizen, for example, visiting Orlando or Clearwater, Tampa, and you're going to stay extra time, you want to book your insurance to cover that entire length of time. But I just thought I'd cover this story because it just goes to show you could be doing the most harmless thing in the world, taking a ferry from a beautiful day at the beach in Clearwater, Florida, and the next thing you know, you're in hospital because of somebody else. Nothing to do with you at all. And in the most calm seas that you could possibly see out there. There was really no reason for any of this accident to happen. And I'll keep you abreast of what happens if there's any charges that are coming forward. Well, I hope you appreciate this update. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.